My name's actually Alex. I'm the co-founder of Talisman. I'm here to talk to you today about our quest to build the ultimate wallet for DOT's Armor. So a little bit about my background first. I started my career actually as a game designer and went on to do a series of failed startups until through happenstance, I co-founded a Web3 development agency with a mate who was a smart contract engineer. In the 3 years that we ran that business, we helped a lot of projects to sort of go from zero to technology. And since then, with some of my working colleagues from that company, FlexDApps, I've co-founded Talisman. So now I am Alex in real life. I'm Agyle on the internet. But I like to keep those worlds separate. So if you could not film or photograph me or my talk, I'll give you the slides at the end if you want. Just come chat to me. That would be really awesome. I'd appreciate that. So Talisman is building a browser extension wallet that allows, ideally is going to allow anyone to master Web3 concepts and leverage all of the applications on Polkadot, Kusama, and the parachains. But I think this ecosystem has a bit of a naming problem in that, Polkadot, Kusama, and the parachains is a bit of a mouthful. The parachains are really the main event here in this story. And so DOT's Armor is not very descriptive either. This is why we've taken to calling this ecosystem the Paraverse. So this is an illustration of the origin story of Talisman. Some of the brightest minds in the Paraverse from the Agyle team, A-Star, Parity, Hydradex, and more, coming together to brief myself and my team on where we might find the Talisman when we go out in search. So today I hope to convince you that we are going to be successful in our quest and that as a user you should consider installing Talisman. If you're building an application in DOT's Armor, you should integrate with us. And you should even consider joining us on our quest because we have some pretty interesting problems to solve. So what are the problems that we're solving with Talisman? There's kind of three general categories of problem that I think are most pertinent for Talisman, or for our product at least. So the first is application support. What's most important is that users can leverage all the applications in the Paraverse, but and it does matter what parachains people are leveraging under the hood, but whether something is built on the EVM and injecting the Web3 object, or whether something is built in a substrate sort of native way, that doesn't matter. And so one of our goals is to abstract that complexity away from the user and sort of create a unified user experience. The second is transaction experience. So, this is the main thing that you do when you're using a wallet. Other than sort of look at how disgustingly wealthy you are, this is most of what we're doing is transactions. And I think it is possible. We don't give this enough attention as sort of Web3 builders. It is possible, I believe, to build a transaction experience that is comprehensive and easy to understand for a non-technical user, where you don't have to parse a JSON object. And I think one of the problems why we haven't cracked this yet is that as Web3 builders, we have a really miscalibrated risk appetite. So the average user cares a lot more about risk management than we do. And so, yeah, especially as transactions are going to grow in complexity, it's very important that we make these comprehensive and clear to users as we start to leverage XCM. And even if you're using more unique parachains, you're making a post on Subsocial, you're using Fala or something like that. So yeah, finally, portfolio management. Now, this is not something that was particularly important in a single chain context, but when you're using many blockchains, you're going to have funny money everywhere all of a sudden. It's very easy to have a combinatorial explosion of having money in all kinds of different places. And so, if I'm Alice, I have 10 DOT, and I bridge 2 to Agyle to mint a USD. I bridge 2 over here. I can have 10 DOT in 5 different places. One is a derivative token. Some of it is locked. And so managing this complexity is very important now for a wallet like Talisman. So sometimes the way that we've approached this in Talisman is we have like a modal view as well as a full screen view. So sometimes I want my wallet to be like Apple Pay, and I want to make a very simple transaction. And other times I want it to be a bit more like my internet banking, and I want to see ledgers, and I want to see accounts, and I want to see all that information. So we kind of have a pretty unique approach to this quest that we're on at Talisman. And I want to talk a little bit about that because we are the benefactors of other people having gone first. We're really standing on the shoulders of giants. And also, there are things that previous wallet projects have not done well. They've done really terribly. And so in the interest of sort of making original mistakes only, we have a few really unique things that we're doing at Talisman. The first is that we're focused on building around cross-chain composability. Now, there's a lot of multi-chain wallets out there, and I think the reason people don't focus on this as much is because if I'm a venture builder, my logic might be, I want to take the highest market cap chains or the chains with the most dApps and users, and I want to just kind of glue them together. But that doesn't really make sense. I think the thing that really enabled the Ethereum network effect, for example, is the single chain composability. Having one wallet and being able to leverage many applications and a growing sort of scope of applications. And so perhaps a more product-centric approach to building a multi-chain wallet is to try and build it around a cross-chain consensus system, a system that's going to allow us to provide a user experience for the end user, which is where they can use many chains, but it is as simple as using one chain. These cross-chain consensus systems, whether you would build something around Wormhole or IBC, for us it is Polkadot and XCM. These systems should be a force for convergence and composability, whereas any other blockchain which is actually sincere in its attempts to win in the market should be trying to diverge from other blockchains over time. It should be trying to build its own unique selling proposition. So this is our kind of approach, is around cross-chain consensus. The second is community ownership. So if we are successful in building sort of MetaMask for Polkadot or like the wallet for the Paraverse, there's going to be a couple of things that will be true. One, we will be in monopoly. And two, we will be a public good that everybody depends upon. And so users, the people that depend upon Talisman, the users and the parachains, are going to need to sort of represent their interests in some form of governance. And we need to ensure that our monetization model does not aggregate user assets unfairly throughout the parachain ecosystem. And so we're doing a few things to set the foundation or set the stage for eventual user ownership and decentralization. So first of all, we raised a seed round last year, which was almost predominantly from parachain founders. So they're going to have a very strong ability to represent their interests in token holder governance. The second is we're building like a foundation-based corporate structure that's going to allow us to both distribute our software to marketplaces like the app stores, the Chrome store, et cetera, as well as sort of enable us to leverage a decentralized community to govern the project. So far we've built our community primarily around we have a tokenized community and an NFT-based community of early adopters who we chat with on the regular. So these are our power users, our super fans. Does anyone here have a Spirit key by chance? Put your hand up. Awesome. That's so cool. And finally, we've created this kind of organization called the Talisman Sentinels. And this is like a community organization that is sowing the seeds of a merit-based DAO. And so the Talisman Sentinels are a group of individuals that do all kinds of things for the Talisman project. So they do translation, they do user support, they report bugs. And so we're also leveraging NFTs and commendations to sort of create a social graph of everyone's contributions so far. Just like sort of Kusama Governance is doing with their NFTs. So finally, we have this Paraverse meme, right? Now, I think as technologists, we tend to view the ecosystem in a certain way through the lens of the tech stack, but regular people to adopt and leverage applications in .sama, they're going to need like a mental model or a mental scaffold for understanding this ecosystem. And so the Paraverse is our way of personifying everyone in the ecosystem, personifying all of the parachains as these sort of crazy spaceships and islands, and placing them in relationship to each other correctly, so that when people learn more over time, they have a bit of a mental scaffold. This might sound like one of the more bonkers ideas that I'm sort of presenting you, but I think consumers definitely demand convenience, but the biggest thing that I've learned in game design is that fun is actually emergent learning. And so players don't demand convenience. What they demand is challenge and to learn things. So here's some more bonkers Paraverse art. So this is Agyle and Mangata. You can see Agyle is this big, heavy sort of Wheel of Dharma type spaceship where there's collateral assets being dropped off and stablecoins, our rendition of stablecoins being taken out. Mangata is this sort of beautiful solar punk utopia with liquidity pools. There's no miner extracted value there. So yeah, at this point you might be thinking these guys have some good ideas or they're just really mental. But I hope to convince you that we're pretty competent. So here's the history of Talisman so far. We started our journey. We first had the idea for Talisman in April last year. In June, we launched a web application that allowed you to connect your Polkadot.js wallet, see all of your balances. We distributed, you could also sort of contribute to crowd loans. We distributed our first Spirit keys to our early adopters. And that allowed us to talk to our users, gather some data, and sort of build our community. We raised a seed round, a 2.3 million US seed round in August. We released a private alpha to our early adopter community of the browser extension in November, received our security first audit in December, launched our public beta. Oh, actually, that's wrong. We launched our public beta on March 3rd, and then as of today, we have about 4,500 users, and we're here in Amsterdam for 420. So, yeah, bit of a round of applause. Come on, guys, that's pretty good. So there's a few things we got to do. We're going to be ramping up the team quite substantially. We still got most of our money, and so given that we're kind of on track to be the dominant wallet in the space, we're going to be spending a lot more money on growth and acquiring users and scaling operations. So we're probably going to be doubling the team size in the next 12 months and doing a Series A. Now, I want to sort of talk quickly about why we're doing this. These are the reasons I do what I do, but I am trying to convince you to sort of sign up on this epic quest. But I mean, intellectual curiosity is the first. It's really hard to build Talisman. Like having to reconcile architecture and with user experience design and brand and sort of bring it all together and execute in a timely manner is really, really hard. We've got big egos. We think we're pretty cool and we can do this. I think I've been in this space for a number of years now, and the major thing that I've learned is it's much easier to get rich than it is to be useful. And so if you think you can be useful, style points are forever, but money is temporary. Mastery, technology ventures, I think, are one of the major tools of change in the time that we live in, at least in the free world. And so if you have a worldview that you would like to see out there at scale, you should probably get good at doing technology ventures. Also, we're building, I kind of see non-custodial wallets as an opposing force to financial censorship, and I think more of them is good. And impact, we get to have a lot of impact in this ecosystem because we're sort of one level of abstraction up. We get to touch every application in the ecosystem and every dApp, and I think that's pretty cool. So, in summary, I hope you think that Talisman is a smart team, and we're building a beautiful product to solve an important problem in an original way for the right reasons. So I hope you think this because we are hiring. There's a few, these are some of the roles that we're hiring for. And we also have a bounty. I don't know if we've properly understood the hackathon, but we do intend to have a bounty for people who build applications and integrate Talisman. And also, if you would like some merch, we've got some jumpers, and we have some cool Talisman beanies. Come and get my attention. So actually, can my team just quickly stand up and wave their hands? So these nerds over here, as well as myself, if you harass one of us and show us that you've installed Talisman and you've imported your accounts and you've also disabled Polkadot.js, most importantly, we'll give you some merchandise. And yeah, this is us. I mean, not really, but yeah, thanks for listening, mates.